I still remember the exact moment everything changed between me and my roommate. Noah, it was a Tuesday evening in late September. Rain droomed on through window panes. The kind of steady patter that seemed to magnify every sound inside the old two-bedroom apartment we'd been sharing for 6 months. I was back from the library later than usual. My backpack was soaked, my shoes squelched with water. I unlocked the front door. Slipping off me wet coat, hung it by the entry. There was that familiar smell, old wood, the sharp tang of detergent. Noah's cologne mingled with whatever I'd cooked for dinner earlier. I paused at the threshold of our shared living room. Lights dim, a single lamp, casting soft shadows. That's when I heard it. A soft rustling, a subtle sound out of rhythm with the steady rain. My heart skipped. I knew Noah was home because I'd seen his car outside. Carefully, I moved down Thayhall Way toward his bedroom. The noise louder now. A breath haltered. Bedsheets shifting. Curiosity. Panic. Something mixed in my chest. Ick knocked on his door quietly, then opened at a crack. What I saw made me stop in my tracks. Noah's shirt off, curled over his bed's edge, hands hidden beneath the covers. He was clearly pleasuring hims. For a moment, I froze. Then I slammed the door shut, stepped back. My cheeks burned. Embarrassment, confusion, something unexpected. I didn't know what to feel. Then I apologized, voice low and trembling. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. He jumped, startled. His eyes went wide with shame, confusion. Hefros then sat up, pulled the covers around his waist. It's fine, he mumbled, but the heat in his face betrayed him. Go back. He waved his hand awkwardly. I did not go back. Something in me, concern, something else, stayed. I closed the door again, leaned against it, heart pounding. After a few seconds, I said quieter, Do you want me to leave O alone? He hesitated, voice barely audible. No, that moment with the rain pounding, the dim light, Noah looking vulnerable changed everything. For the first time, I saw him outside the usual roommate routine. Beyond films at night, shared takeout, karaoke on weekends. I saw desire, need, and he saw him, seeing him. After that, I didn't leave immediately. I sat down on the edge of his bed, maybe 6 feet away. The air was thick, silence stretched, but neither of us fled. I asked, Are you okay? He looked at me, chin tucked, arms around his knees. Yes, just surprised, I guess. His voice wavered. I thought I was alone. I'm sorry I intruded, I whispered. I didn't mean adjust. It's not your fault. He sat up more, pulled the blanket tighter. Honestly, it's been a while since I've allowed myself to feel like this, to be like this. My heart clenched. I knew Noah a little. He was quieter, guarded, studious. He carried the weight of expectations, his family, his scholarship, the idea of what a good kid should do. He'd never talked about relationships or love or attraction in the ways I had. He was tentative. Careful, I swallowed her. If you want, I said, voice soft. You don't have to do this alone. He looked at me as though he hadn't considered that. Alone? He asked, almost longing. You mean with you here? Yes. My voice shook for reasons I couldn't quite name. If that helps? He bit his lip, closed his eyes. For a moment, he thought he would say no, but then he nodded barely. In that moment, I offered me hand. May I help? His eyes opened again, unsure, frightened. Something tender flickered. Okay, I moved forward slowly. I wasn't sure what to do. This wasn't a script, but I placed my hand, a light touch, across the blanket near where he needed comfort. I didn't cross boundaries. I asked, Is this okay? He nodded. A nod so slight I almost missed it. My heart thudded. I held Thatman, the electric hush, the storm outside, our breathing. I leaned in, voice a whisper. Tell me what you want. He took a shaky breath, and under that low lamp, I helped. Not explicit, but caring, gentle, guided by his words, respecting his boundaries. My heart was full of compassion, of desire, but mostly of this raw, fragile connection. Later, when he pulled back, wrapping the blanket fully around him, I stayed. He looked at me, really looked, eyes moist, soft. "Thank you," he said, the word small. "Any time," I replied, voice thick. "You don't have to hide." We sat for a long while. The rain softened. The lamp glowed. Neither of us spoke much. The energy between us shifted. I saw in him a courage I didn't know he had. I felt something in me shift, too. This wasn't just roommate Coel living giving. There was affection, possibly more. I'm Daniel, by the way. When we moved in together, our version of friendship was friendly banter, shared chores, occasional movie nights. Noah was quiet, studious. I was more expressive, always sketching, always chatting. He teased me about Mirt, being too dramatic. I laughed, said he was just jealous. We were good roommates, but I didn't expect this. Over the next few days, we moved around each other more carefully. There was a suspended moment in every glance. I caught Noah looking at me over his coffee in the morning. Sometimes I'd catch him when he thought I wasn't looking. Sometimes I'd feel his hand brush mine. Accidental, intentional. When reaching for a plate, I'd freeze. Heart fluttering. At the same time, Noah seemed restless. He stayed in his room longer. At night, I heard him turning over or holding the pillow close. Hal looked distant in our shared kitchen. When I asked about his classes, I knew something was building inside him, just like inside me. One evening, I invited him to watch a movie. Just like old times, he agreed. Though hesitated, we sat on the couch. I draped a blanket over us both close. The film played, but neither of us paid full attention. I noticed his hand resting near mine. I didn't move away. Instead, I gently laid my hand over his. He froze, then he didn't pull away. His breath was quick. He turned tone. Voice hushed. "Daniel, I said I like you more than a friend." He looked shocked, eyes wide. Rain started again, shadows flickering across the room. He picked up the corner of the blanket, fiddled with it. "I like you too," he said, voice barely above the movie sound. I felt relief, then guilt. Was this too fast? Was I putting him under pressure? But he didn't look unhappy. He looked hopeful. We didn't kiss that night. It felt too soon, too mulming. But we held hands, leaned in, rested our heads together. Inside, I wrestled with so many feelings. Fear that I'd misread him, that he only said what he thought I wanted to hear. Shame, mine, his guilt. We were roommates. What if things got awkward or strained the rest of our life together? Hope. Shimmering thing. I tried not to let myself believe. Noah had inner conflicts too. He was raised in no conservative home. He'd never admitted to anyone how he felt, not even himself, until that night when I found him. He worried about rejection, about being judged, about losing friends. He worried about whether his attraction was something to be ashamed of. Yet under it all, there was longing for touch, for connection, for someone to accept him exactly and wholly. Between us, nights felt electric. Silence spoke volumes. I'd lie in bed in my room, hear his breathing, sometimes tears. I wanted to comfort him, but worried intrusion would push him further away. So I waited in my room listening. One night I drew a sketch. 2 figures under rain, reaching out to one another. I taped it on our refrigerator. It was anonymous, but I hoped he'd see it. When dead later that evening, he stood looking at it. For a long time, I caught him watching it. He traced the outline of the paper with his finger, then turned to me. "Did you?" He started. "Yeah," I said, hard in throat. "It's us, I guess. Or maybe I hope us could be." He nodded, a tremble in his voice. "I like it." That was all. But it felt like everything. Over the next few weeks, things changed. The days were still. Quiet moments loaded with unspoken tension. Summer had turned to early autumn. Leaves outside turned golden, drifted against our windows. The rain came more often. Inside, we were both warmed by candles, by the flicker of shared blankets, by proximity. I wanted to move forward, connect, deepen. Noah, still cautious, pulled back at times. We'd be watching a movie. I'd try to lean in for a kiss. But Noah would freeze, pull away gently. Or at night I might whisper his name, hesitating, and he would excuse himself to his room. I understood the fear was there, fear of what might come if we let go entirely. One day at school, Noah was quiet. He didn't text me back. I tried to reach him. He said he was too busy. I accepted, though my heart tightened. I worried perhaps he regretted what happened, that I misread his kindness, that he wanted room enough to think it through. That evening, I cooked dinner. After the smell of garlic and onions, I set 2 plates for us. I called Haim upstairs. He came into the kitchen with an unreadable face. "Food's ready," I said, trying to sound casual. He headed over, but stopped. He looked at me. "Daniel, we need to talk." My stomach dropped. "Okay," he swallowed. I like O a lot. I really do." He paused, looked at the floor. "But I don't know if I'm ready to everything. I'm scared that if I let you in, I'll break, or I'll hurt you." "I'm scared too," I admitted. "But I want to try only as far as you're comfortable." I reached out, touched his arm. "I care about you. If you need time," he looked at me, his eyes glistening. Hesed, I've never done this before. Never with someone I care about. It's easier to pretend I don't feel so much. Easier to keep things simple?" He laughed, brittle. "That's the thing. Fear of intimacy is powerful. It pushes us into walls of self-defense. Noah built walls around his heart because vulnerability, dangerous. He'd been hurt in small ways. Rejection after coming out to a friend. A cousin's casual homophobia disguised as jokes. He carried all that or more even when he thought he didn't. Listened. I tried to see where he was coming from. Then I asked gently, "What is everything to you?" He paused. Then slowly, letting someone see my skin, letting someone touch me, letting someone know my desires. Not ashamed, not hiding, letting someone love me without me trying to control or contain it all. My heart ached, because I wanted exactly that. I wanted to be the one heteros did. When he opened his heart over the next days, we drifted. Some metamesclousness, sometimes distance. I gave space when he needed it. Some nights is in the living room sketching. Sometimes I found him on his bed, head buried in pillow. I left him notes, tignons, thinking of you. You are brave. I'm here. I tried not to smother but Tobe present. One cold evening, we had to share a ride home from campus. The car was silent except for the radio. Noah shivered. Without thinking, I draped my coat around him. His shoulder pressed into mine. His breath quickened. I didn't push. I asked, "Is this okay?" I nodded. After a few minutes, he leaned in, resting his head softly on me. It was small, but it felt like trust. Back at home, he stood in the hallway, reluctant to part. I said softly, "I want you in my life fully, not just parts you think are safe." He looked at me, searching. The lamp in the hallway cast long shadows. He stepped closer. I could see his pulse in his throat. He reached for me. I closed the gap gently, pressing my forehead to his. We kissed, soft, trembling. It was not perfect. It was warm, kind, honest. He pulled back slightly. "Thank you," he whispered, foreneck giving up. "And thank you for being brave enough to try." Meanwhile, I had struggles too. I questioned, what if I'm not enough? What if the weight of his fear becomes something I can't carry? What if he regrets this loving someone who is still healing, still earning? There must be friction. There must be unseen fears on my side too. He felt exposed. Wanting someone, needing someone, opens vulnerability. Yet every time he smiled, really smiled at me. When he thought I wasn't watching, I felt warmed. Every time he let me touch his arm, let me see a glimpse of his bare shoulders. In the soft light, I felt honored. And each time, the barrier between us eased a little. One night, we sat on the rooftop off the building, stars overhead. Noah wrapped a blanket around both of us. He looked nervous. I handed him a cup of hot chocolate, the steam warm in our cold hands. He sipped, looked at the sky. "Why do you stay that night?" He sked. The night I'd found him, and then didn't run away, I smiled slightly. Because I like you. Because I think everyone deserves someone who doesn't run when they're vulnerable. I paused because I hoped you might let me in. He turned to me, eyes in the moonlight. For a long moment, I thought he'd close up. Then he whispered, "You want to let you in?" We kissed then, deeper than before, still restrained, but with more certainty. Everything shook inside me. I could feel his hesitation, but a loss, the longing. It was better than I'd imagined. Climax was coming. Tension built between wanting to protect him, wanting him to heal, wanting him to trust me fully versus effort, shame, the shadows of past hurts. That weekend, Noah wanted to go home, his parents' house in the outskirts. He said he needed family grounding. I hesitated. Was this distance or space to think? But I agreed. I dropped him off Friday evening. Promised I'd call on the drive home, mine. I kept thinking, this feels like a turning point. Saturday, he texted. "Thanks for coming." He sounded distant again. I called later. He didn't pick up. I left a message. "I miss you. I'm here." Silence came back. Sunday, I went to a cafe near his parents' town. I ordered his favorite lavender latte. Sat, watched rain slick the roads outside. My phone buzzed. "Can you come by?" Simple. I drove, nervous heart clutched in my chest. The house was old, lit from inside. I knocked on the door. His mother opened, gave me a polite smile, invited me in. Noah was in the living room. He looked different, less guarded, more weary, but something firm in his eyes. We sat on the couch. His parents were out. He looked at me. "Thank you for coming," he said. I smiled, trying to put steadiness in my voice. "I'm here because I care," he nodded. "I've been thinking," he said, "about us, about how terrified I've been of being known, being seen." He exhaled. "At home, I feel safe in some ways, but also pressure. My mother asked me questions about girlfriends. My father reminds me I'm behind where he was at my age. I feel like there's this expectation. So when I started feeling things for you, it felt like a betrayal of who I thought I should be. Tears brimmed in his eyes, but also betrayal of what I want." He turned to me, voice breaking. "I want to be honest with you." With myself, I reached for his hand. "You can't be." He pulled back slightly, brushed a tear. "I want to do this with you, everything, but I need you to know I have scars. Fear will creep in. I will panic sometimes. I will pull back. I might need you to remind me that it's okay." I nodded. "I will. I promise." He looked at me, searching. "Trust me, too. That I want this not just when it's safe, but even or especially when it's hard." My throat tightened. "I trust you." And then he closed the distance. We kissed in the dim light of his childhood home. Not loud, not perfect, soft lips, hesitations then deeper, something raw and tender. I could taste the rain that had followed me, the lavender lattice sweetness. I felt his hand on my cheek. He paused, pulled back, looked at Mel like he was seeing me for the first time. My freckled skin, my art-smudged fingers, my hopeful eyes. "Daniel," he whispered, "being with you, it's the most real thing I've ever felt." The emotional pressure, the fear, the longing, all blossomed into that moment. Climax. Truth laid bare. Love stepping gento, the open. We didn't rush beyond where either of us felt safe. We held each other, breathing together, letting the storms of emotion settle. It was intimate without needing anything explicit. It was sensual in the way fingers tangled in soft brushes of skin, in the warmth of trust. Afterwards, wedded for hours about family, fear, what it meant to love someone. When you've never been allowed to, truly allowed to. He told me about childhood memories hiding in closets when unclassified things. The first time someone asked if he had a girlfriend and the shame that clothed him. The nights Heck read himself to sleep after seeing homophobic comments online, telling him he'd be less if he admitted who he was. I shared my own scars, childhood bullying, my cousin who disowned me. Nights I pretended I didn't need more Ethan friends. We found common ground. We were more than survivors. We could be builders. Builders of love, trust, identity. He squeezed my hand. "You've helped me feel brave," he said. "Even now I'm scared, but less so." It smiled tears in my eyes. "You've always been brave," I told him. We left his parents' home, walking in the rain, umbrellas dripping. He was wrapped in my coat. We laughed at how drenched our shoes got. The air smelled of wet, earthened new beginnings. We kissed there, under the glow of streetlights, rain falling around us. Not full disclosure again, but this time mutual. Wanted, shared. After that weekend, things settled in a beautiful way. Not perfectly. There were moments of fear, missteps, doubts, but love began to root quietly, firmly back at our apartment. Mornings felt warmer. I'd wake before Noah, make coffee, watch him sleep for a few minutes, listen to his breathing, the rise and fall of his chest. I'd sketch him sometimes, his silhouette in dawnlight. He caught me once, smiled. A shy, real smile, one that crinkled his eyes. He began staying over in my room more often rather than retreating. We'd fall asleep side by side, hands touching. Sometimes one of us awake, longer thinking, if only I could stay here forever. We built new routines. Sunday morning pancakes, Saturday hikes, evening journaling, side by side. We shared playlists, his classical, mine, indie folk. We read books aloud sometimes. We talked honestly about boundaries, desires, what each of us needed to feel safe. On evening, Noah invited me to dinner with a friend of his, who didn't know about us. My heart thudded. Meeting people as his partner meant stepping further into authenticity. We arrived at a cozy bistro. Candlelight. Soft jazz. His friend was warm, curious. Noah introduced me. "This is Daniel." His voice was steady. My heart soared. After dinner, his friend said she was glad existed in Noah's life. Nothing overly dramatic, just kindness. Noah glanced at him. I squeezed his arm under the table. "Thank you," he mouthed. We walked home under amber streetlights, shared code again. Cold air around us, our fingers intertwined. He stopped, looked at me. "I love you, Daniel." "I love you too, Noah," my voice firm, heart unruly. That night, we stayed up talking about Fjord, a trip we'd take, how our families might respond, where we wanted to be emotionally in 6 months. We made plans. We imagined a life together, an authentic life. Inner growth came gradually. Noah practiced said self-compassion. He allowed me to see him cry. Not perfectly brave, sometimes fearful, sometimes doubting. I learned to be patient, not pushing, but gently encouraging openness. I learned that loving someone means sometimes sitting with discomfort, sometimes letting silence speak, sometimes offering comfort without solutions. We also healed side by side. He sought out a counselor, someone knowledgeable about LGBTQ+ experiences. I joined Hyman's. I offered support. He thanked me for being patient, for seeing him beyond the roommate, beyond the shell he carried. I thanked him for letting me in, for trusting me with scars I didn't know existed. Emotionally, I grew too. I conquered pieces of my own fears. Fear of abandonment. Fear of repeating past heartbreaks. Noah's trust became a mirror reflecting me worth. I saw in him someone brave enough to choose vulnerability. Loving him made me braver. Loving him made me kinder to myself. Months passed. Autumn gave way to winter. Holidays came. We spent them together. We exchanged gifts. Noah bought me a sketchbook. With a cover of constellations, I'd drawn him as a surprise. I got him a necklace with a small crescent moon. Something simple, symbolic of the nights we watched stars. The nights he said he felt like hiding but still looked up. On a snowy evening, we went ice skating at a town rink. Lights strung overhead. Laughter around, breath visible in cold air. No slipped. I caught him. We fell together. Laughed. Lay there on ice. Looking up at lights spinning overhead. I kissed him. Then, under soft laughter and twinkling bulbs, he kissed me back with a warmth beyond the cold. We went home, fingers entwined. He leaned in, soft voice. "You've given me home," I whispered. I always had one with me." At the story's resolution, we moved forward, not because everything was perfect, but because we chose each other every day. I graduated. Noah gave a speech at convocation. He spoke about courage, personal courage, about love, about being seen. I watched from the audience, heartful. Afterwards, under the warm sun, he met me, tears and high sighs. He kissed me. I kissed back. We have nights now. When I find him in bed, awake, scrolling through old photos, sometimes tearful, I hold him. He has turned to me, said thank you. I tell him he doesn't need to thank me. Thought this brave, that he's loved. He sometimes laughs, sometimes cries, sometimes just rests. And I rest with him. When I think back to that rainy night when I caught him, when I let him guide me into that first intimate, I see now that was the opening of a journey, not just of physicalness, but of emotional honesty, healing, and love. Now, I want to share what I believe this story is really about. Not just the moment I caught Noah, not just our first kiss, but how true love can emerge in unexpected ways, and how courage, honesty, patience, and kindness matter. Love isn't always grand declarations. Sometimes it's sitting with someone in silence after they've opened a painful door. Sometimes it's waiting while they find their voice. Sometimes it's reassuring them, even when you're trembling too. The real intimacy is in vulnerability. The real romance is in trust. I'll never forget some small moments. The way Noah's fingers trembled when he first let me hold his hand. The tear that escaped when he told me he'd never been allowed to love openly. The warmth of his head against my chest, under shared blankets. The laughter whispered under streetlights in the rain. Those moments built us. We are together now. Not as roommates, but as partners. We share dreams, art exhibits, travels, maybe one day marriage, if the world allows. We plan to speak with orphan lilies from places of honesty. Some will understand, some will take time. We're okay with imperfect love because our love is real. I see Noah no longer hiding. He walks with his shoulders back, his voice steady. He looks at Mawan. I speak. He uses pronouns freely. He holds my hand in public. He rated Tessellite that fear once dimmed. And I see possibilities I thought were out of reach to be fully myself, seen loved. So now, when night comes, when the rain drums again and I lie awake, I sometimes remember that first evening. I remember shame, vulnerability, the scared look in Noah's eyes, and I remember offering help and the trust thought followed. That moment was small, but it unlocked everything. We are not perfect. We still have fears. Sometimes I worry I'll hurt him by trying to push too far. Sometimes Noah worries I'll leave or become someone he can't hold. But every day we choose to stay. We choose honesty. We choose each other. To everyone out there who feels unseen, who is afraid of being truly known, I hope you'll find someone who won't run away, who holds your hand. Here's your truth. Love sire scars. You deserve to be safe, to be loved, to be seen. This is our gay true love story. Not because it's fairy tale perfect, but because it's real. Because we chose love over hiding. Because he caught himself in shame and let me help him heal. Because I caught myself in hope and let love in. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for seeing us.